So we'll have to contact the insurance company and see if it's on. I'll contact both the fire department's insurance and the borough's insurance to make sure that at the very least that there's a rider for BLS QRS service.
And
Then we
can
die.
the fire company provide us with a copy of the certification?
Yeah, absolutely. It's on the, yeah, I will. It's actually on the insurance. Certification to borough. And then after that, is there any other questions with regard to what it is or what we'll be doing?
We, since we're waiting on that insurance stuff, we table this to next month for a vote.
We could.
And maybe talk about it in work session.
We could do that.
And
For
then
sure.
if we have any
And
more
if you
questions-
have
if you
any
have one.
questions at all, you could feel free to call Howard, because he
I-
knows everything about it.
And I talked to Gary,
Yes, we
so I
specifically.
understood what was going on. Really, all it does is that the fire company was called at the same time the ambulance get called.
So it's
So it's not
extra.
that the ambulance doesn't get called.
It doesn't supplant, it doesn't take away, it doesn't diminish, because sometimes they call for an ambulance and Suburban's 20 minutes away. We'll be there in 3 minutes, and we'll wait and provide basic life, CPR, first aid, whatever we need to do, split wounds, whatever we gotta do, provide bandaging, until the ambulance comes, and then they take over for transport, and ALS, which is advanced life care.
The control center does have a policy in place. There are certain calls where they do not do simultaneous dispatch. Those are to ski resorts and to medical facilities. One, because basic life support, you're gonna, like, to a medical facility, there's already someone there who can provide BLS, and so they're not gonna do the dual call. But they have a policy in place, and they would recommend that any motion we make would be that we follow the control center's policy regarding when they call.
Yeah, we don't have that anymore, we don't have any ski resorts in the borough or any medical facilities in the borough, so, and wellness center is not considered a medical facility, so it wouldn't really pertain to us, but we would just say according to whatever their guidelines is, their guidelines are. I think that was the sample letter that he gave. I think it was pretty much ran along this, what you guys gave him last year, what Jack gave him last year for, to Gary Hoffman, Director of Communications at the Control Center. But we could definitely table it, like I said, if you have any questions.
Deb, is that an answer we need about the insurance?
You could always make it that we wouldn't, that you wouldn't send a letter until you receive verification of insurance and the copy of the certificate. So not that you would need to necessarily not act, you could act, but the action would be that you wouldn't send a letter until you had that clarification. The other comment that was made, that's just more, I think Gary has talked to the fire company regarding this, is that if the fire company does not respond, so if they're called and do not respond, I mean, this too many times, and there may be some sort of notice that goes back to the state and then puts their licensure on some sort of hold. So they need to make sure, the fire company themselves also needs to make sure that they're responding, or else that's gonna end up pretty bad.
Absolutely. Yeah, they pull the certification for QRS if they miss a certain number of calls.
So based on the contingencies that you just mentioned, is there any reason not to approve?
As long as they're certified, I mean, the county's looked at them and said that they've been, and there was and Gary's other question to me is who the medical director is. I mean, he just says somebody at St. Luke's, I don't know who that is.
It's a doctor, I don't remember the name, but it's a doctor at St. Luke's who's the medical director, so he sets the protocols and the guidances on how to treat people and what kind of medications, how they should be administered, so that's all guidelines that are written out. And the only people who are gonna be responding are the EMTs and the paramedics that we have in the fire department already. And they're already doing medical work when they're out in the field, this way they'll just be called if someone has, if they're in distress, their chest pains, or they can't breathe, they have respiratory problems, or whatever, we can come, we have oxygen, and things like that. So it's definitely a great thing for the borough. Once it starts getting rolling, we're gonna see results, because our ambulance service in this county is horrendous. And I think part of the survey, the emergency services survey, is gonna address that, and hopefully they will provide us with more ambulance services, but our response time for ambulances is just terrible, so at least someone with medical training will be on site to help people who are in distress. Wait for the ambulance is definitely a benefit.
And basic life support means that there's nothing internal, correct?
No, nothing
All right.
invasive, they can't run an IV.
Yeah.
ALS can, if an ALS team comes before the ambulance, they can do that, but there's really only 4 medications that they could, administer, so it's, you know, like epinephrine, if you have an allergic reaction, your airways getting swollen out from a bee sting or whatever, and aspirin or nitroglycerin if you're having angina or heart problems, and albuterol, and we have all.
Well, based on what you and Deb just said, I don't think there's any reason to delay it.
I don't think so either,
As
so,
long as we pass it with a contingency, the insurance company's notified.
and the minute we get it, we can kick out the letter.
Yeah, I would say with
We're
some
not
sort of
having to wait.
notification, some sort of,
Verification of
verification from the insurance
qualification.
company as well as also a copy of the certificate.
I'm guessing-
I would say, once those two things are presented to the council, you know, we vote on it now.
Presented to council or to Deb?
To Deb,
Yeah.
there's no reason to wait. Yeah,
And then we don't
present-
have to wait.
Yeah, let's do
Just
that.
send it out.
I'll make
Alright,
that motion.
so Jack makes the motion to send a letter, to the county so that they could add the QRS system to their dispatch pending proof of insurance and what was the second thing?
Certification
The
of
copy
the
of
people
certification.
involved.
A copy of certification to the borough.
And Deb, once we have that, then we
Handed
should have
and
that on
reviewed
file
by
here
Deb.
also. As well, Alice.
Alright, so Jack makes the motion, do we have a second?
That's right, that's right.
I have a question.
I'll second.
Yeah, exactly, and then.
What
Yeah,
if the insurance rates go up because of this being added? If you guys are voting now and then the insurance rates go up because it's a new service with more liability,
More likely than not, we're the secondary insurance provider, because the fire department has their own insurance. So if anyone's rates are gonna go up, it'd probably be theirs. I don't even know if they'll put a rider on our insurance policy for something like that. It would automatically be covered under the fire department's insurance. And we're gonna get a copy of their insurance policy, so worst comes to worst, they'll indemnify us if there's any issues, but like I said, we're the second level.
yeah, but without indemnification, we should at least
I
have
think we
that.
already have an indemnification agreement with the fire department, but we'll definitely speak to the insurance broker and find out.
Okay.
That's gonna be the conversation we have. Alright, so Zach second the motion, any other discussion on providing this letter to the control center? Alright, so all in favor of the motion? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alright, so we'll work on the insurance and the cert. Next up is a discuss and move to hire Constable Jim Cascani. Or in the event he's unavailable, another suitable constable will provide peacekeeping services at our public meetings at a cost of $150 per meeting.
All right, I have a comment here. I think, are we currently interviewing 2 other seasonal or part-time police officers?
No, we have not gotten applications.
Okay, the reason I say that, I think we should give consideration if we hire somebody seasonally or part-time, whatever, that part of their, as long as the mayor agrees, obviously, part of the responsibility would be to come to the council meeting and also the work session if we have one. I think we owe it to our own officers to offer that first.
If we have one.
First of all, it's economical, second all, it just makes good sense. I think before we hire anybody permanently, I think we should consider that.
So if we add on to the motion to hire the constable to work,
In the event of no.
in the event that Delaware Water Gap Police Department is unavailable to cover the meeting.
Correct.
Yes.
Would the covering of the meeting be within their allotted weekly hours, or would they be extra hours for the covering of the meeting?
For those sessions, I think they should be in addition
Yeah,
to the
extra
police
hours.
hours, because, you know, we don't have a lot of police hours now. I'd hate to take away, you might be talking about at least 3 hours.
I just wanted to clarify. 'Cause
No,
that's
it's a
my
good
question.
point. Hour and a half for council, hour and a half for work session, if they continue, that's 3 hours, it shouldn't be taken out of the current schedule, please.
So it'll be in the event that the police can't cover the meeting. If police can cover the meeting, then they are allotted 3 additional hours per month.
They're allotted,
Or the time that they're spent at the
In
meeting shall
addition?
not be, shall be in addition to their regular weekly
Allocated
hours.
hours. Yeah, their current allocated work schedule.
$150 per meeting.
Alright. Alright, so let's discuss it a little more, and then we'll hone in the motion to whatever. Is there anything else you wanna discuss with regard to doing that? Jack, Lisa?
No,
I think we briefly touched on it in the work session
That was
last
in there
month,
last year, sure.
Okay.
that, yeah,
Alright,
that's
so
what I wanna say.
just to be clear then, so it's gonna be a motion to hire Constable Jim, I'll butcher your name, alright, Jim, sorry. Connie, in the event he's unavailable, another suitable constable provide peacekeeping services at our public meetings at a cost of $150 per meeting. If our Delaware Water Gap Police Department officers are unavailable to cover those meetings. If they are allotted 3 hours in addition to the allocated time they've already given.
Do you wanna break it into 2 motions?
I would love to break it into 3 motions.
yeah.
Alright. So let's start with the police then.
Yeah, I would start with that you would request that the police cover
Okay.
the monthly meeting and work sessions, my regular meeting and work session meeting. Hours spent at those meetings
That's
shall
an
not be
insult to the
included in
police.
their weekly allotted hours.
Alright, who wants to make that motion?
You have it written down?
No.
Allison, did you get it?
I'm trying.
Can we say it again?
Yes,
Please do.
That the, request that the Farewell Delaware Gap police officers attend the regular monthly meeting and the work session.
Conversation 10 works.
And they shall, and the hours they spend at this meeting shall not be included in their regular weekly allotted hours.
Should not take away from their monthly allotted hours.
Yeah, is it by the month or week?
I think it's monthly, isn't it?
Well, it's one,
30.
well, it's 30 a week, I
Okay,
think,
so
whatever,
it's
I think
the
it's 30, whatever
weekly
they
allotted hours.
The hours
Okay.
spent shall not be,
subtracted from their normal,
I think the meeting shall be in addition to their allocated
Shall be
hours.
in
That
addition
sure, there you
to-
go.
yep,
That's what I have first.
That's fine.
Who's making that
Okay.
motion?
I'll make that motion.
Alright, Jack makes that motion. We have a second for the motion?
Second.
Lisa seconds the motion. Any other discussion on, requesting the police to come and cover the meetings and not counting it against their allotted hours? Alright, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Alright, so now the second motion is in the event that we are unable to have the meeting covered by our own police department, that we hire the constable, Jim Cascani, or in the event he's unavailable, another suitable constable provide peacekeeping services at a public meeting at a cost of $150 per meeting. So we have someone to make that motion.
It's only 6 months late.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Alright, Zach makes the motion. We have a second for the motion.
Yeah, what you said.
I'll second it, I think we need to have a backup, if Jim's not available and our police aren't available, we should maybe consider having a backup as well.
Well, it says there are another suitable.
Correct,
Okay.
so that should be part of it.
Any discussion
I'm
on,
Do they need
the
a
backup?
motion for retro pay?
all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Alright, that covers those. Let's see what's there. Good.
Does that cover the past bills when he's been here for the past 6 months?
Discuss and move to hire Chris Kurtz to make repairs to the
It's not.
JCB tractor or alternative options
They still don't vote on it.
Alright, so, last night, this morning, we got an estimate from Chris Kurtz, who, Marty, let us know about. He works on equipment, like our tractor. He came out last week, Thursday, Friday, I don't know,
One of those.
to look at the tractor, and gave us a free estimate. He didn't charge us to come look at it. He determined that the right side brakes aren't working because there is no fluid in the brakes. With no fluid, he couldn't tell what the problem was. Is it a simple leak? Are there deeper problems, master cylinder, stuff like that? He also saw that the radiator is about to disintegrate. It's in really, really, really bad shape. So he provided, and he then went and looked for parts, because JCB parts, we're hearing, are hard to get. He was able to locate and would be able to source the parts needed. He can replace the radiator. He can replace the bad radiator hoses. We would need, I guess, 2 oil filters, an air filter element, some other air filter system stuff, a fuel filter, and a fan belt. And you basically do an oil change on the thing and would top off the brake fluid. So what he estimated for us was labor to fix the radiator and associated radiator issues, do an oil change, and refill the brake system in order to diagnose the brake system, but not quoted is the diagnostic of the brake system. About $4,042.12 for those things. We identified those things as what the tractor needs to get us through the winter loading salt. Need a front loader like that in order to get salt into the dump truck so that we can salt our roads. That's the minimum that he saw that we needed to do to make the tractor safe and likely to get us through the winter. Again, that 4,042 does not include fixing the brake lines. If it's a leak, he diagnosed that leak with the roughly $2,000 in labor, that's 16 hours, but not fix the lines. This job could get more expensive if it is more than a simple leak at a connection or in a hose. Is there anything I need to add to that element?
No, basically, he can't give you a real accurate until he fills it up with brake fluid, like you said, and runs it through. This would be for him to come out to us, not for us to transport it to Saylorsburg, where he has his garage where he works on things. But the charge is $120 an hour for labor, which is pretty much the going rate in the field. to fix it.
Significantly cheaper than the going rate.
Okay, what is the going rate, would you
It's
say?
about 175.
Okay. So, our first thing was, what would it take, Chris? Like Zach said, we need to make sure we have something that's operable and functional for the winter. So, that's kind of the number. It could be $5,000, but, we have to look at alternatives, so, based on that, Zach, I'll let you continue with your summary.
So that's one option that Rhodes has in front of council, to make sure that we can get through the winter, with, salt and stuff. It was brought to our attention that our water operator, Craig LeVar, has a front end loader backhoe, that he bought new. It's a 2001 New Holland. It is comparable size probably and capability to our current JCB. It has been sitting for 2 years. He hasn't used it for 2 years and wants to downsize his equipment and wants to sell it. We met with him, Rhodes met with him this morning to take a look at it. It runs. I'm not a mechanic. ran fairly nicely. It needs a new battery, which he had ordered, but it jumped, and he said it started up for him first key turn when jumping it. It has 7,500 hours on it. He says he has the service records. It was serviced every 250 hours. It was operated exclusively pretty much by his father, who he said is not hard on machines, and it being a family-owned machine, family business, I take him for his word on that. It needs a battery, which I said he ordered, and 2 new batteries, okay, which he said he ordered, and also the backhoe, one of the hydraulic pistons, he said needs to be repacked. It drips hydraulic fluid. It doesn't spray it out. The last time he had one repacked was a decade ago. It was about $600, so you can guess these days that it would be probably double that. I asked him to price it and tell us what he would want for it. He looked around, he said he saw units like it in the mid-40s, but he thinks that that's inflated, and said he would take $28,000 for it. I did a little bit of Googling today, not a whole lot, just what I could do on my phone while we were driving back to the borough, and that seemed kind of on. I found like a 2000 New Holland 675E in the mid to high $20,000 range. So what Rhodes has kind of discussed, we talked about this morning, was we're looking at spending